Let's talk about what really is happening with the entire agri-commodity setup and how it's likely to impact India per se. The fact that there have been export curbs on wheat flour, what's going to be the impact? And not just that, a whole host of other agri-commodities as well. Who better than Mr. Sudhanshu Pandey? He's, of course, the food secretary joining in on the show right now. Mr. Pandey, great to have you on the show. In the recent updates, Mr. Pandey, India has now curbed the export of wheat flour and related products as well. Do you have more such measures which are planned, and which other sectors do you think need more regulation at this juncture?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. First of all, let me clarify that whatever measures are being taken, either in the context of wheat or now in the context of Atta, they are not curbs in true sense. Actually, if you start analyzing, the world market is behaving very abnormally at the moment, and the Atta exports have risen by about 300% during the corresponding period of the same period, and which is very abnormal. And we also don't want India's reputation in the global market to be tarnished if fly-by-night operators, they start packing and sending all kind of stuff. So basically what DGFT has done, they have put a filter of the quality check before export shipments are allowed. So in that sense, only genuine operators meeting the quality standards as required in the international market, they will be able to send their stuff.
Fair enough.
And in respect of other commodity, I don't think, yeah.
No, please go ahead.
There is no need to take any measure, because whether it is sugar or it is rice, India is quite in comfortable position, both in terms of stocks as well as the current trend of exports. So everything seems to be on track.
Fair enough, Mr. Pandey. Given
That's it from my side.
The fact that the IMF has asked to relook wheat exports, the government as well on that front has, relaxed some restrictions. Are there any sort of concerns then on that front?
Again, wheat has to be seen in overall context and in the global context. India has never been a very major exporter of wheat. Initially, we had a percentage share of about 1% in the total export market of wheat, and last year it rose to about 2.5%, and that was again abnormal. So our 72 lakh metric ton export last year was highest ever, and that was also merely just about 2.5% of the total global export market. So India has not been a significant player when it comes to wheat. However, in terms of rice exports, we hold about 41 to 42% of the export in the total global export market. So, and because of the international market having very high demand for wheat, and some supply disruptions occurring globally, the demand for wheat went up. And even when Indian wheat was selling at about $340 per ton, the price in the international market was anywhere from $450 to $480 a ton. As a result of which, the chances of wheat prices getting pushed up and inflation related to wheat getting imported into the country became very high. And therefore, in the government, it was felt that those countries where food security is really a challenge, they deserve wheat much more than those who may be just stocking in the wake of possible scarcity in future. So if you see, even after 13th of May regulations on wheat, our exports have gone by about 1.8 million ton total exports to various countries, and they are about 12 countries internationally. But all these countries, they are those countries where there was actually food deficit. So India is continuing to play a very important role in meeting the challenge of food security for those countries where food crisis is actually there. And the food grains are therefore getting channelized to those markets where there is genuine requirement. And whenever any requests from governments are being received through the Ministry of External Affairs, there is an interministerial committee which is examining all those requests, and very quickly consignments for those countries in respect of wheat are getting cleared. But this is being done in a staggered manner. So the quantities that are going, they are generally the bi-monthly or monthly requirements, and this process continues. But even then, our export of wheat compared to last year, we are still on higher, we are much higher than what we were last year.
I'm glad you clarified on that. But Mr. Pandey, the government has asked companies
Yes.
to cut edible oil prices by up to 10 rupees per litre and taking every step possible, as we understand, to keep edible oil prices under check. But India still imports about 55% of the quantity required. Given that this has never been regulated before, is it a sort of regulation or a signal of this sector that could be regulated?
This is basically a very frank interaction with the oil companies. The international prices in last about 1 month, in respect of soybean as well as palm, they have drastically come down. In respect of soybean, price fall has been about 25%. In respect of palm oil, it's about 35%. So government's concern is that the benefit of this price fall should get passed on to consumers. Consumers should not keep getting this oil at a very expensive rate. And when the prices internationally have fallen, so we had a very fair exchange with the industry, and industry understands this, and therefore they have promised that yes, there is time for reducing the MRP. They have done it once in last about 15 days, but due to sudden fall and lifting of the ban by some of the countries, there is surplus oil available in the international market, and therefore the prices are expected to come down, and we have simply told industry that they should do it fast. So this is not any kind of regulation, but this is an open dialogue, keeping consumers' interest in mind. It's a proactive approach on part of the government, and industry has responded.
Denying that. So do you think, Mr. Pandey, that the worst when it comes to food inflation is behind us, or are we going to be too naive to say that at this point?
No, I think the stability internationally is coming. If you see commodity prices all over, the commodity prices are coming down. So the equilibrium is finding its place. Markets are getting stabilized. Supply chains are getting restored. Still the freight continues to be very high. There are still some supply challenges, but we hope that all these challenges will get overcome, and the prices should come to the natural level as they were almost a year before. So in respect of some of these commodities, as I said, now prices are just about 5 to 7% above the last year's level. So still there is a possibility that about another 5 to 7% adjustment would happen.
All right. And, just to stretch that point forward in terms of food inflation, it's not just prevalent in India, but across the globe that we're seeing. What's the sense in terms of tackling food inflation? And in this backdrop, what is exactly, as well, if I may club that with the outlook on the MSP for agri commodities?
See, fertilizer prices, they have been a challenge internationally, and also the supplies. But again, India has been very proactive, and because of the government's timely decision, not only the availability of fertilizer was ensured, but also the prices due to increased subsidy were assured at right level, so that the sowing for the coming Kharif is proper, and India itself has a huge population base, and therefore government is very proactive that we should be able to at least meet our own requirement, as well as last year we exported almost 21 million metric ton of rice, and it helped many countries where there was shortage. So perhaps India is in a better position because of some of the proactive measures by the government, and our preparations for the Kharif as well as for the Rabi, which would be in October, November, appear to be on track. So we should see, we even had the review with the weather department, IMD, and their assessment is that at least in all the southern states and central states, monsoon levels have already reached the normal corresponding to the last years. In some of the northern areas, rains still are a little less, but hopefully in coming weeks, the sowing should catch up, and Kharif target we should be on track.
Thank you for taking time out and joining us, giving us your outlook on what exactly the situation is when we're seeing the export curbs kicking in and the government measures as well on a lot of these agri commodities.